My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. Hey, yeah. Hey, welcome, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome, all fellow Whovians, to the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. We're going to be having a great time today because we've got an episode and we've got a great team of panelists who have made their selection, as you probably have seen in the thumbnail. Here we go. Who should have stayed? Now, the question that we pose to our panelists today, including myself, is there a person who has appeared in Doctor Who that would have made a great companion? And today you can join our live chat to discuss who would have been a great person who should have stayed and walked into the TARDIS a little bit longer than they should have in their one episode. And the team has really come up with some eclectic people. One of them, I'm just like, really? But you know what? I'll let them explain for themselves. Well, first off, let me go ahead and introduce that team there. Welcome aboard. First of all, Miss Amy Hale.
Hello.
How you doing there, Amy? Tell me
I'm good.
where everybody can find you, the author of the lovely Amy Hale.
You can find me at authoramyhale.com, and I'm author Amy Hale on pretty much all of the social media sites.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for joining us here from the Rising Tide broadcast. Speaking of Rising Tide broadcast, there's Carl Witzman. Okay, we're done with him. How you doing, Carl? Welcome there, Carl. You are also from the Rising Tide network. How you doing there, Carl? Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Doing fine. You usually see me in the chat, but I happen to be free today. So, and this is something I wanted to talk about. So I appreciate being on.
You love to harass us in the chats. Now you are in the room yourself.
I'm going to get it, I'm sure.
And again, you can check out our friends over at the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, Facebook.com, Rising Tide Broadcast Network. They have a plethora of shows, tons of discussion, and practically almost everything from comic books to cigars, you name it, to artists, to writers, including Amy. Check them out over there on the Facebook page, .com. That's the best place to find. And also, thanks to Brian K. Morris, who runs the Rising Tide broadcast. You're probably also watching us on their Facebook page. Now, let's bring back our guests from the Traveling TARDIS. Speaking of authors, I love the segues. I'm working on it. Mackenzie Floor, how you doing there, Mackenzie? From the Right of Wands.
Yeah, and we are making some headway in that. I may have an announcement soon, but I can't say anything yet.
In the right on the Right of Wands?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. We'll definitely we'll be a first. This will be awesome there. Yeah. Toss that away. We don't want to make people know that we cleaned it out. We're trying to stay sanitized.
Sanitary house.
Sanitary house there. And don't forget, if you want to join in the live chats, just go ahead wherever you are on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook page. That's right, Dan Hollyfield. Carl, what's his name? What's the show? Last Man Standing. He's also on the Rising Tide Network, Last Man Standing. Go ahead and check it out. Just go to the Facebook page, subscribe there, like it, and all that stuff will be showing up over there. And speaking of stuff, hello, Donna. Miss Donna, how you doing there? Waiting for Gadot. I'm waiting for Gal Gadot, but that's another thing out there. And I knew it just as I was getting up and going to a beer. Started there. I want to welcome Willow Schuyler, Pillow Talk with Willow. Check it out on the HWWS Web TV News channel. And hey there, Dan. Oh my goodness! Hey Pat, how you doing there? Pat is my friend. She's also the agent, and Pat, if I can just say this, the agent to our friends over on Star Trek Voyager for the most part, for most of them out there. Oh, we're just getting Rising Tide people. Author.
Kathy Jackson.
I can't even talk today there. Alrighty, and also coming from our YouTube channel, Anxiety Rangers. How you doing? We're doing great there. Thanks for asking there. And we're also getting Chris O'Connor. Hi there from New Zealand Daleks. Thank you for joining us today. Again, we're going to be talking about the companions that should have but didn't, and the ones that got away out there. But first, we want to surprise everybody. Just in case you haven't seen it, the announcement took place this weekend. We are going to be showing the trailer for Doctor Who Series 13. Without further ado, here we go. Let me just make that bigger. And away we go.
Whoa.
I'm the doctor. This is Raz. This is Dan.
Oh,
Hiya. You're hiding something. Get inside.
whoa.
Any questions? No. See you soon.
To show the Doctor Who YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe here on our YouTube channel, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS King. What do you think about that little trailer? Which I've got to say, normally I don't want to say I'm not excited. I'm just like, that didn't tell me enough. I need to know more.
Very vague. Very
Very-
vague.
Teaser.
I'm just sitting here.
Yeah, it's not
kind of
trailer.
feeling- I'm just sitting here feeling kind of unloved and forgotten
Why?
because you never introduced me.
It's true. For what it's worth.
And Jessica,
Freedom, I must have
Yeah,
well, you all know who I am.
spell on you.
Oh, I'm
You know,
so
I'm
sorry.
You
sitting here
blame me.
looking
I
at
must have
Carl.
done that invisibility spell again. Whoops, my bad.
Okay,
It was the
this
two
is
of us.
why I have
Like, just
Melanie on-
forgot both of us.
This is why I have
Yeah,
Melanie on the show.
It
I
was
need
done
somebody.
too, yeah.
So, Melanie, yeah, you won this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish that. Ladies first, Jessica Womack from the... Oh.
Uh-oh.
she left.
You know Jessica? Nah, I don't need her.
Yeah.
Kick her out. She's
I
no
just know that
good.
Melanie's going, yep, Christian, yep, you can do this by yourself. Sure, yeah, whatever there.
Yeah,
Jessica
Melanie.
Womack.
Melanie just face palmed.
I know.
Oh, definitely.
And she
Thank
says
you.
she's watching this, which is killing me right now. I know she's going to come
So
into
she's
the
just
chat.
watching you completely
I
delete me
know.
and forget people, and yeah.
I can steer the Titanic away from the iceberg, sure. Jessica on the Instagram at SongSwan Cosplay. How you doing, Jessica? And thank you so
Doing
much. for
well. Yeah,
Now-
I'm excited.
that. Now, also, we have an announcement because Jessica and I will be somewhere this weekend together. Are you going to be there?
I couldn't get off work.
Oh,
I'm still trying to give away a shift and maybe show up.
I don't know if you want to announce that. That's okay.
Well, no, if I give away a shift, it's fine.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's completely, yeah.
Okay,
so if
I-
anyone's watching that I work with and would like to take my shifts this weekend, this is my
This is
official
probably the best way
announcement.
to tell people, yes, I need somebody to give up my shift at this
Please,
moment. Yes.
someone, yeah. I don't sound desperate enough, apparently. So yeah, I'll tag them in this and just go, hey, I'm officially giving away my shifts.
Anyway, Brian, how you doing
Yeah.
there? Dr. Freedom from the YouTube channel. Dr.
Oh,
Freedom, make sure
I
you
was just
subscribe.
sitting here
over
looking
there.
at Carl. Wishing I'd worn one of my fedoras now.
Oh. You always put it on after the commercial break. You can tell it on out there. We got some new faces out here. Not only Pat Arthur, we got, I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize. I believe it's Nikki Salon Blair? Selin Blair. I apologize if I do that. Sorry, but Nikki, thank you for joining us and welcome there. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel out there. How you doing there, Dr. Freedom? How's it going today?
By the way, it's Waiting for Godot.
Godot.
If I remember right, yeah, that's a play. And don't be impressed.
is.
The only reason I know that's because that was in a Home Improvement episode.
No, that's fine. I was, like I said, I'm waiting for Gal Gadot. So that's my Godot. Christian needs a keeper, at least a caretaker. Yeah, I will do that there. And Faith Kelly, if you've seen her in her last episode, She was in the chats there with Ashley Eckstein when we were doing the interview with her. Faith had she got her cosplay to be seen on the Doctor Who Twitter page, and she was wearing, if I'm not mistaken, Faith, you were wearing Ashley's coat when you were doing that picture. So then they shared it. So hats off to you there, Faith.
It
Congratulations.
was the official BBC.
It was the official BBC.
It was the official BBC Doctor Who page.
Yes. It's tool time.
Crazy. I know, I love that show.
So thank you, folks.
Show.
Thank you, folks, for joining us. Again, if you want to be in the chats, please go ahead and just type in away. We're just going to go ahead and start within just a second there. And, yep, Hurt Universe 13 code, yes. So I'm glad I got that right out there. That's one thing Melanie won't harass me with this afternoon there. We're going to start.
We're getting dizzy.
Mackenzie. We'll start with you. This is just to remind people, these are characters in Doctor Who aren't, well, see, this is where it gets weird because the definition of companion has been so tossed around there, but I will try my best to define it in this particular case. These are characters who made their appearance in Doctor Who, may have flown in the TARDIS, but they haven't lasted more than maybe one or two stories. So that's what I'm going to define companion is for this particular episode. And if you're out there, you think of somebody who was a great character as shown here in this picture out here, and maybe some of them will actually be mentioned in this show, by all means, chat away. This is what we're talking about today. So Mackenzie, I'm going to pull up yours because yours was very interesting. She made an appearance in one episode. To tell you the truth, I think she was only, 10 minutes at best on the episode? But let me go ahead and pull her up. It was, and if I'm not mistaken, her name was Gabriela Camara, played by Joanna Borja. Did I get that right? And I think that was from the episode Praxis. So tell us a little bit about this person that you picked and tell us why you picked her.
Well, in this type, because we're still dealing with the diversity, and we needed a companion that after Ryan and Graham are leaving, I really think that she would have shined with Yaz specifically. They both really were very compatible in that episode, and also just because of the significance with Praxis, because Praxis is a little bit like COVID-19 in that case, that we're dealing with a virus. So it might have been nice to have somebody else who had that scientific background, but yet had that fresh curiosity. She was very curious about going into aliens and the whole thing about being underwater. So it sounds like maybe she was very curious about being underwater type of storylines or something to that sort. I also think that she could even have been perhaps at one point being in part of UNIT, because she did leave with the couple at the end. That was the astronaut, and I forget what his husband was.
Right. Wait a minute, I'm going to cut you off for 1 second. Alfred, shut up. Just shut up. I love you, but shut up. I just joined the show and get motion sickness as Christian moves everyone around there.
Yeah,
That's
get back to the Batcave, Alfred.
There you go. Love you, Alfred. Actually, we love you there. I just want to harass you there. But okay, Mackenzie. Also, this is interesting because she's also a podcaster. If I remember that episode correctly.
Yes. She and Jamela would go around and on social media, and they did run a podcast where she seemed in that episode quite surprised that nobody in the TARDIS team knew who she was or who Jamela was. So it was interesting. That might have brought another, I don't know, maybe some speciality, get into something different than how they have been in the past. And
right.
With it, having to use their brains, maybe they could have used her social influence.
What I think is interesting is that I've always thought, but there's no way they could pull this off unless something miraculous happened. Wouldn't it be funny if there was an actual companion who was posting everything on their social media going throughout time and space? But that there's no way it could be done because, unless the TARDIS has got some kind of really serious time and space Wi-Fi that goes around out there. Faye says she actually reminded me of Ryan quite a bit. I mean, Ryan had social media and she had a podcast. So, okay, gotcha.
Very good point there.
All righty. Well, speaking of podcasts, folks, as we know, we got to pay the bills when we return. We're going to continue our discussion. Who should have stayed? When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
Bateman.
What's the Bateman?
A novel set in Florida, written by Florida author D.L. Havlin. Suspense, mystery, and murder.
Evidence is in the bait.
The Bateman is available at local bookstores and online.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
Unleashing hunters into the ruined wastes.
one young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal
Wonder and adventure.
in the Scion series. Alien.
Yeah, well, I screwed up that commercial. Sorry.
Yeah, that went well.
Another reason why Melanie needs to be here. And speaking of which, if you're joining us on the YouTube channel, if you're joining us on Twitch or any of the Facebook pages, including our friends at Wizard World, on the Rising Tide Network, or at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, thanks our friends over at GeekInsider.com. Please subscribe at GeekInsider.com.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
I can hear Melanie laughing through the Wi-Fi. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christian Basil, and welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. For those of you just joining us, welcome. For those of you who've been with us, welcome. Thank you and joining in. And we are having our discussion about characters in Doctor Who should have been companions that they just didn't make the cut for whatever reason. We're going to continue our discussion. Mackenzie made her discussion, and let's go around the rows, okay, Amy. That's how I roll. Amy,
Yeah.
you picked a character that, and I had to really bend the rules on this one. She technically is... See, she really sits on the razor's edge of companions. But technically she hasn't, and it depends upon which version of her you want accept as far as being the companion. So, Osgood, who technically hasn't really, flown in the TARDIS. We had that discussion, so I don't remember she even went on the TARDIS. Amy, tell us a little bit about why you pick Petronella Osgood.
Petronella Osgood, yeah. I think part of what I loved about her was she was just such a Doctor fangirl. And I felt like she knew everything that was to know about him that was probably in the files at UNIT. I feel like she sat down and she studied it all. She was a scientist. She worked for UNIT. She had so much information. I just felt like she would have been, probably at first, if she would have traveled with him, she'd have been kind of a yes man. But I think in time, he might have kind of, like with Donna, he kind of might have had his match with her eventually. I feel like she could have been kind of feisty and fun. Mm-hmm. And I love that she was a scientist. So she's not, most of his companions don't have the kind of knowledge that he does. And while she certainly isn't on his level, she has a lot of knowledge. Right. So it was just something I thought, and I admit I struggled to come up with someone. It was just, my brain has just not been functioning. But she just popped into my head, and I thought, I really would love to have seen at least a few episodes with her, just hanging out with the Doctor and fangirling over him, and doing the companion thing. I think it would have been fun.
Gotcha. There. I'm going to ask the panelists on this one. Faith says, "Yeah, I think she would have been a great match. Maybe too much of a match there." And our friends at Anxiety Rangers on the YouTube channel says she's awesome. I have a question. Do you think her time was enough, or do you think we should have given her more time for what she had to endure, especially being the Zygon sister?
Yes.
You wanted more time.
I would love to see more time.
Everybody concur. Do you think her story was kind of up after the Zygon story?
Well, they cut her short. Didn't Missy kill one of them?
Yes.
And we don't know which one.
Right. So she killed Osgood.
Yeah. But which Osgood? The human or the Zygon?
We'll never know.
Which almost would have been fun to have on the TARDIS, because you don't know, is it the Zygon or is it the human? I think that would have added a cool dynamic, but also getting to see a character develop a little character. I speak English, I promise. It's my first language. But character development of a character that might not have exactly have been human, especially if it was the Zygon version, to have a character arc with someone that was not a human or potentially not a human. I think that would have been fascinating and completely against the normal grain of what a companion is.
Yeah. And it would have been fun to sit there and just second guess constantly.
Because they drop little hints here and there of it's totally human.
Like this, so you just really be sure.
It would be great. I love it.
Yeah.
What about both Osgoods getting into the TARDIS together? You think that would have been way too much, or you think you should have just had one?
Or they switch off and you never know when they switch.
Exactly. I could see the Scooby-Doo, one running in a door, one coming out another door. It just, you never know which one he's talking to. It would be great.
I remember, I won't say their names, but I remember, and I'll get to what you mentioned, Carl. I remember when I went to school, there were twins that I went to elementary school with, and they would constantly switch out classes. And actually, I think a teacher finally caught them, and they actually did get suspended because they were switching out classes, and they finally caught them out there. So the Anxiety says it's just the one for the mystery. Well, that would actually be cool. I think one's enough. Yeah. Especially when you see the dynamic between Osgood and 12 on the plane, and when they, for a better term, crashed. How they were sparring off each other. They worked so well. And it was a nice little duel between the two out there. Faith says, actually, that would have been hilarious for both of them. I mean, that would have been just, I don't think the Doctor would have stood up for it. He would have been like, this is way too much out there. So we have Osgood coming onto the TARDIS there. And Osgood specifically worked with 12 really well, yeah. I forgot, oh gosh, who played Osgood?
Ingrid Oliver.
Ingrid Oliver. Her dynamic with Peter Capaldi was fun. And I think I did like the switch off of the role where she, from the very beginning, from the day of the Doctor, she had this admiration for the Doctor. And then when you get to the Zygon inversion, it flips. The Doctor now has an admiration for Osgood. Not only that, but she's kind of saying, no, I'll stay here, when he actually offers her a trip in time and space. So thanks, Faith. So we've got that. All right. Carl.
All right.
This one I kind of like. Go ahead there, Carl.
Yeah, this is going to be one that a lot of people have said before. Yeah. Christina de Souza from Planet of the Dead. We saw her and the 10th Doctor drive a bus into an alternate dimension or another reality or another planet or a wormhole, whatever it was. And they ended up on a desert planet in a bus with a bunch of extra passengers. She is a master thief, and I think she would have been really good to have around, very handy. She wouldn't get locked up by the villains and have to have the Doctor rescue her. She would more likely get the Doctor out of trouble, I think.
Right. I do see that kind of play, and I do see there's kind of like I don't want to say the name in this route, but I'm hoping everybody would understand the John Barrowman of things, where the Doctor is kind of the mind, she's kind of like the street smart.
Yeah,
she's the more experienced as far as the know-how, and she kind of goes against the Doctor's principles because she is the Madam Thief. So
yeah.
Everybody,
and that would help and hinder in some episodes. It would put the Doctor on the edge again. He'd have to fight against her and the villain. Don't do that kind of stuff. We don't do that. Well, I do, and I did. And here's what I got. And it was helpful. It helped him in this episode, and I think that could play out again in other episodes. But she stole the bus at the end and took off.
Right, exactly. Well, he helped her get away, but I think more or less she's also playing that role. Oh, here's the perfect pairing: Seven and Ace, and I think it was Silver Nemesis, where the Doctor kind of hints to her and goes, "You didn't bring that Nitro 9 with you, though. You didn't bring your Nitro 9 with you, and just intentionally dismiss my order like you did." And she goes, "No, I'm a good little girl. I wouldn't bring the Nitro 9." And he goes, "Good. Blow up that Cyberman ship." Yeah. So he kind of uses the companion as, "I won't do it, but you can do it for me." That there.
I was kind of thinking Fourth Doctor and Leela, except instead of saying "put it away," he'd be constantly, "Okay, what's in your pockets?"
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
You just can't walk into a restaurant without hearing clang, clang, clang on the way out the door out there. Guys, what do you think about Christine D'Souza, bringing her back? And would you bring her back with a different Doctor? Would you bring her back with 13 or 12 or even 11? Would you bring her back with another Doctor, or do you think 10 is her Doctor?
I think she'd be fun to see with 13.
Yeah.
Fun to see with 13?
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would even put her with 12 because...
Yeah, she would be good with 12.
Because he would be like, no, don't do that. And she's doing something in the corner or whatever, futzing around with an alarm, and no. So I could see him doing that.
Or him just walking by, looking back and going, "Put it back," and then keeps walking.
Exactly.
Like,
very good.
That's what I picture, is just literally he's going on this whole rant to whoever they're talking to, walks past her, and you just have this passing, "Put it back," and then continues his rant, like that's what I pictured. As soon as you said that person, I was like, oh, I have the scene in my head. Literally see it happening.
He's got the moral compass that he plays with, and she just pushes the button just a little bit, a couple times, just to see if he's playing out there. Speaking of just playing, hey Melanie. The world has gone mad. Carl is there, and I'm over here.
I know.
Yeah,
it's a Freaky Friday.
13 would be pretty smooth out there. I'm sorry, Brian, I cut you off there. What were you going to say about this?
It wasn't not important. I was just going to say I can see Capaldi giving her the attack eyebrows push.
What, she pick up something, she turn around, and then right there.
The look.
I was just looking at it. I was just.
I didn't.
Exactly out there.
I still think it would be very interesting to see her with Jodie's Doctor, and to see the woman to woman, eye to eye kind of fights that they would get into.
Jodie would steal it out of her pocket.
Yeah, and put it back.
Like she would steal it and then she would take it back. That's where that one would change.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Capaldi would be a good age gap and grumpiness towards her. I don't know. I think, Brian, you were part of this game. We were doing something called a game called the Multiverse. We selected a character outside of the Whoniverse and matched them up with a Doctor in the Whoniverse. And the one that I forgot who picked this. Oh, it was Nisha. Nisha picked Wonder Woman, and we did a random toss of the dice with Dave. He tossed the dice, and we ended up with Wonder Woman and the 12th Doctor. And those two just going at it there. So I kind of see that same kind of dynamic happening between Christina and the Doctor. It's just put her in a multi-Doctor story. Okay. That would be interesting out there. Oh my God, she would steal it from her. Yeah, she would definitely steal it from her. Speaking of steal, we'll be right back when we continue our discussion here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We are talking about characters who should have been companions, but didn't quite make the take. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Experience Samara's adventure as she imagines the people around her change into friendly cartoon animals right before her eyes. Journey with her in this poetic tale, My Cartoon Imagination at School.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
It's Game On Team at Doctor Who Worlds Apart. That's Doctor Who-Worlds Apart. You can purchase your packs and get started. When this game gets started, we are going to be premiering it here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, because apparently notifications are not getting out there unless you hit that bell. So make sure you're hitting that bell as well when you subscribe out there. And don't forget to check it out, because you can go in there and play for free when the game starts, and you can check in daily at Doctor Who-Worlds Apart and get packs. The pack. Oh God, I forgot the name of them. You can get 10 den packs. Melanie's going to kill me. I know she's in the chat right now going, "You idiot." So don't forget to check out our friends over there at Doctor Who Worlds Apart out there. Carl, shut up. I want to know how you did that. That's welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, and thank you for joining us out here. Yeah, everybody's getting a good laugh. Thanks, Anxiety. Wonder Woman could have helped him in Heaven Sent again. For those of you maybe just joining us online, we are talking about the characters in Doctor Who would have made great companions. They just didn't make the mark. We got Mark Robinson here. Welcome. Here's a question. Which classic Doctor with new companion and which reboot Doctor with classic companion would be a best combination? My head just spun trying to answer that question. And Melanie's
a whole episode.
I know we could do that. That's going to be a lengthy. You know what, Mark? I think we're going to table that for another one. But if anybody wants to answer quickly, I'm going to try to see if I can match one up right now. So we have a time switch, and actually, Big Finish has done that, where they've taken companions and moved them around, like Charlie Pollard. Who is companion to the 8th Doctor, ends up later on becoming companion to the 6th Doctor in a situation where she cannot say, "I know your future self, but I'm with you right now because I'm your companion," because he actually ends up rescuing her in the end, thinking that the 8th Doctor has died. That is not a spoiler. So anybody have any ideas of any classic with new Who companion or any of the reboot with a previous companion? What do you think would be a best combination?
Well, I mean, we got to see 10 with Sarah Jane and.
Wow, yeah, that's actually happened.
And that was fun. I loved seeing that. I loved seeing Sarah Jane with any of the reboots, but seeing her with 10 was just exciting because that was just like, oh my God, it's Sarah Jane, after so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Sarah Jane had all the fun too because she had 11 and Joe Grant or Joe Jones at the time out there.
Yeah, because we had Matt Smith, with Sarah Jane. Uh-oh, you're in it now.
Yeah, I'm in it now. There. That's why
And I
she
would
should be on
love
the
to
show.
see Sarah Jane with 13 simply because she has seen the other doctors be like, oh, well, I didn't know you can change to a woman.
Yeah.
Just to get her reaction from that. That's what I would love to see. Or even Jo from the classics from the Third Doctor. She ought to see 11 as well. So that would be, well, she may have had a heart attack seeing 11 or seeing 13.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Mark. I actually think that is a good topic that we're going to hit upon later to see what our companions will. We'll hit that in the multi-book universe there. Faith, the little icons that show each potential companion makes me think of the cards in a Guess Who game. Oh, okay. Awesome down there. Melanie brought it up. Capaldi with Ace. Yeah, I would see that out there.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, and Mark agrees. Capaldi with Ace out there. And Anxiety says, state your purpose, boy, in Sataran. Nice. Or your porpoise. Yeah, your porpoise there. Speaking of purpose, let me see who we haven't hit yet. Let's go. Jessica. Let's get your person up there. Yeah, what's up?
How's it going?
Not bad there. So the companion you picked from the character, a lot of people were actually saying that this person should have been a companion, and she was a very good potential companion. Tell us about your choice.
Yeah, I picked Shauna from Last Christmas.
Yes.
And she was supposed to be the companion because this was the season that Jenna was supposed to leave. And she was slated to be the one that would be replacing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish she had, because I really liked her quirk and, the fact that she really thought outside the box. But also, I feel like they packed in so much of her home life and personality and just into this very small window of scenes that she got. Like, she yelled at Santa Claus and threatened to scratch it. I mean, she literally threatened to claw Santa Claus. I mean, if that doesn't scream companion, I don't know what does.
Mm-hmm. She's also, I don't want to say this in the bad term, but damaged goods. You can tell that there's something that's bothering her, because we already know that she's having an issue with her boyfriend, and at the end of the episode she forgive Dave, and now she wants to give it a second chance. But yeah, I think Shauna,
as much as she didn't want to leave too, she was like, can we hang out after this? It made me think that she doesn't have friends or people or anything, and I feel like the Doctor could have done so much, and she would have done so much for the Doctor, because they're both lonely people,
right,
that would kind of help balance each other. That's why I really liked her.
I think she would have
been great.
She would have been a great 12 companion because of his damaged goods and her damaged goods. You can see them butting heads and such, but I think it's kind of on the same level. I think of Donna. She would get aggressive, but she would know where to hold back and say, no. This is where the Doctor lies. I'm here to straighten him up and make sure that he is okay. But when he's doing his thing or her thing in this particular case, that's it. I get where the the pullback is. So everybody, Shauna, what do you think from the last Christmas? What do you think of her as being a companion to? And okay, let's put it this way: what Doctor would you match her up with? Doesn't have to necessarily be 12. Which Doctor would you bring in?
She would have been sad with 11. That would have been just a bunch of depression all in one, but both of them acting happy, even though they're both super depressed.
Yeah. He says, I wanted her so badly. There were a lot of people. I mean, and I did hear, I couldn't confirm that. And Brian, was Shauna meant to be the next companion? Because, I hate to say this because, and this is nothing against Jenna, I do think she overstayed her welcome past last Christmas.
Same here. I agree with you on that.
It's not against Jenna. It's just basically, after that, I felt angry to Clara because she had lost her boyfriend and apparently somebody who she loved immensely. and it was because of the Doctor's life that the way he lives, it ended up in the death of her boyfriend. And I would think after that, she would have walked away and said, "Listen, and she should have walked away at at the end of that episode." But bringing her back into Last Christmas, and then having the dream with her boyfriend Danny Pink, and then deciding to go right back into the TARDIS, I'm just like, did you learn anything?
Yeah.
Because now I just feel that you're just mean. And maybe that wasn't the impression that they were trying to show, but yeah, she was. I felt like her stay was too long. But anybody else want to jump in and talk about Shauna? Shauna, let me know. What else do you think about her? Or who would be a good Doctor to bring in against her? I don't know if she would work. Go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry.
I think she would have been fine with 12 because the Doctor always picks up strays. And almost they're almost all damaged in some way. So, I think he could have helped her a little bit, and she could have helped him.
I do think that there is that. Yeah, I do think that they would have helped each other, both being damaged goods, both building each other up. And when the Doctor does one of his quirky things, I would just love to see her retort and just go after him, just like, well, whatever. What are you doing? Why are we doing this type deal?
Because he has said before in current or in previous incarnations, I need someone to hold me back sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's what the companions for. If it's a good matchup, they will hold the Doctor back. But go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to catch you.
Oh, and also there was another episode with he and Clara where he says, she's the one who cares. She cares, and so I don't have to. And I'm like, wow, that says a lot. And he still needed someone who was caring and human to keep that going.
And Melanie says, I think Clara's story was well wrapped up. So if she had gone when she did, it would have been a good story arc for her. Yeah, I think it would have been lesson learned. And she even says, yeah, I would have loved to have seen Shauna. Fifth Doctor. Oh, that would be interesting. That would be an interesting show down there. Especially if he kept seeing her dancing to music to cope with anxiety. Oh, my God.
Oh, that was the best.
Could you imagine just like all of a sudden there's an intro, after the intro you hear this loud music in the TARDIS, you see the thing going up and down, it's her dancing and the Doctor's in the background going, okay.
Or even her coming up with a dance to the sound of the TARDIS, of the
yeah,
and everyone, he just stares at her like, what is wrong? She's like, have you never noticed this has a good beat?
Yeah, exactly. No. Shauna gave me 13 vibes without actually having 13 at the time, like little quirks and all. Yeah. Into the Dalek. 100% Melanie. There you go. Oh my goodness. Mark says Peter Davison could try to heal Shauna. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, well, it's kind of almost like father and daughter type deal in this particular one. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of comments coming up over here for Shauna. I was related to Shauna with doing something funny to cover the anxiousness. Yeah, and I think we all do when we have those things. We always look to humor or some little funny quirk when we're coming to that. Speaking of funny quirks, I believe Dr. Freedom, you're up next, aren't you? Because I had nothing to go on over there. Dr. Freedom.
I wanted to pick somebody that nobody would in a billion years.
Oh, I don't doubt that you did that. So tell us a little bit about your pick, and I do want to hear. But I actually, when you told me about that, I was kind of like, "Are you kidding me?" Having thought about it a little bit more, I could see where you're going with this. But go ahead, tell us about your pick.
I picked Adam from Dalek, and of course, he appeared in the long game afterward. And the reason why was, he was kind of out there. He was kind of, he did some bad, he did a couple of bad things. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when I looked at him, I suddenly said, Mr. Peabody hit the Wayback Machine. Let's go back to 1983.
Thanks.
When the Doctor picked up a guy named Wislar Turlo in Modern Undead.
Yeah, okay. I see.
He was young. Yeah. He was impetuous. He was kind of selfish. But over time, through a night, he redeemed himself. Mm-hmm. And I thought it would have been very nice if they could have done the same thing with Adam. giving him, a short story arc. It could have ended at the end of that season with him possibly helping set up the defenses at the end in the space station. And then finally, he looks over at the doc and he goes, Doc, if we make it out of this, there's one thing you got to do. And then, of course, Nine, being the sarcastic guy he is, goes, oh, you mean that message you sent back to your phone, message machine back in, the present day? He goes, don't worry, took care of it. And that way they kind of end on better terms, and he ends up staying to help Captain Jack rebuild things in the future. Having gone to this, thing where he's learned his lesson. Or there was also a funny, humorous way I was going to get rid of the trapdoor in his head. It was going to be the doctor goes, oh, by the way, I fixed the thing in your head. Here's the password. And then he looks at it and goes, what's this? He goes, just stay away from Pokemon conventions. You'll be fine.
I can see the first couple minutes of Nine just snapping his fingers, just pissing him off every 5 seconds.
But, I can understand why they ended up with the Ninth Doctor being the way he is, but at the same time, I just flashed back to the Fifth Doctor with Turlough and thought maybe he could have gave this guy a chance. Maybe the fact that he was doing all these things is he got, he had a bad influence. He was hanging around with Van Statten,
right? And
maybe that rubbed off on him, and maybe the Doctor said, maybe if I give this guy a chance, he can learn a lesson, and come out of this a better person. And that's why I picked at him, because there's always a chance for redemption if you give a person a try.
Right. And Turlough's his whole premise in Doctor Who as a companion was kill the Doctor from the Black Guardian. That was his whole thing. And then it was Enlightenment that finally changed the game when Turlough was like, okay, you've been handed the best gift in the universe. And he goes, well, all you have to do is kill the Doctor. And he's like, no, I can't do this. I've learned from the guy. Then he ends up being locked in prisons and quarries and all that stuff for the remainder of the series. Here's one. Adam worked well with 9, but maybe even would be great with 12.
Well, I could see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Capaldi did become kind of more like a mentor type figure as he, as we got along in his series. So I could see him being a mentor to Adam. Yeah.
It would have to be a later Capaldi, not the earlier Capaldi.
Yeah, not the earlier Capaldi. No,
because kind of smoothed out there.
Would clash a lot.
I could swear if anybody has a chance, if you're out there on the internet and if you're looking, exactly. I think Bruno Langley, I think that was his name, Bruno Langley. I think he did one episode where he actually came back in Big Finish and kind of added the storyline. I got to research it a little bit there, so if I get a chance, I'll take a look at that. Speaking of taking a look, one last time, does anybody have any questions about my pick?
Oh, come on. I'm just anxious to find out. The suspense is killing me.
Gotcha. When we return from this commercial break, and our last commercial break, when we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and become part of the legend.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I got to say. One word. Wow. It looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
unleashing hunters into the ruined wastes.
One young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal.
Wonder and adventure.
In the Scion series
by Michael J. Allen.
Beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Earth Web Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
Have more options than ever before. You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating. You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
I just want to say, Melanie, something's going on with the StreamYard. It's because it keeps, for whatever reason, keeps kicking out the commercials. So I've been placing back in. That's why it keeps stalling out there. We want to thank our friends over at the HWWS, the Hanging With Web Show net, because they provide our audio podcasts. If you're on iHeartRadio, Sci-Fi.radio, those are our friends with Gene Turnbow over there. You can listen 24/7. Our show premieres every Saturday over at the Sci-Fi.radio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, radio.com, brought in by CBS, Spreaker. Wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, you can actually listen to and download all of our episodes out here. And especially if you've seen our commercials of our friends who joined us in the family of sponsors, you can email myself or Sage at hangingwith, spelled HANGIN, with show.com. That's HANGIN with show.com. We'll get you the rates. We'll get you the special. You can see that we've got a larger audience, and it keeps growing on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page. And if you want to advertise with us, get to it. Get our information out there. And plus, just for our friends who are watching and who subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page, you're going to get a special deal over our friends at the Wizard World Vault. That's their merchandise shop. TARDIS25 is your exclusive promo code for the Wizard World Vault. You get 25% off select merchandise over there. Just go to wizardworld.com, select the vault, look at the merchandise, put in our promo code, you get 25% off. It's worth it out there. And then, folks, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Legend of Traveling TARDIS. We are wrapping up the episode of our selection of characters in Doctor Who we think should have been companions and didn't quite make the cut. We're getting to my selection out there. And this person came in with in Capaldi's last season. And I don't think she got a fair shake with what she had. She was in the story. They were expanding out her backstory a little bit. I think she was working with her husband at the time in the episode, and she just hit it well with 12 and in the situation that they were in. This is, I'm hoping people remember, if anybody remembers the last season of Peter Capaldi's, this is Erica.
That's who I was thinking as an alternate this afternoon. Yeah,
the scientist
from Pyramid at the End of the World. Yeah,
yeah, and I loved it because I think it wasn't that her husband that she was working with in the lab. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Just the dialogue and what they were talking about, and the fun that she was having, and how she and 12, Erica meaning, just were hitting it off pretty well in the most dangerous of times, and she just kind of accepted his wild world at that moment because there was a situation going on, and the doctor, she didn't understand what was going on. All you have to do is put those numbers in, but she didn't realize he was blind at the time. But I think Erica would have been an exceptionally well companion if they explored it even more out there. But Brian, you said that you actually had an alternate in Erica. What made you want Erica as an alternate?
Well, it didn't pop into my head till this afternoon when I was sitting there watching. I go, "Oh, that's right. I remember that young lady he was working with in the lab," because the way they interacted, the dialogue and all that back and forth, and the way they just kind of like connected in those few short minutes. I was like, she would have been an excellent companion. I think they would have got along really great.
because she accepted his wildness. And she accepted it. It's almost like you've seen certain companions, and it takes time for it to grow on them. Erica just hit it off, and just like, this is what needs to be done, this is what needs to happen, and here we go. So, anybody want to hit up on my take? And Mark, yeah, we are. I believe one of our co-hosts is not here. Is Dave Chapman, who is does the rathole.ca. He's in Canada, but all of our friends are here in the United States. So, Mark, yeah, to answer your question out there. But anybody else have your thoughts about Erica as being a companion?
I can barely remember her from that show.
I feel bad for her because she made an impression to me that she was a wonderful companion. I wanted her to be in the TARDIS. I was like, go ahead and kick Nardole and Bill out. I want this girl to be in the TARDIS out there. Hello, Keisha. Yeah, but they did. She was only in, I think, for like an episode and a half. Mm-hmm. She was in the laboratory, but like Brian said, 12 and her hit it off so well. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't be the one going, "What is it, Doctor? What is it, Doctor? What is it, Doctor?" She'd be the one walking over trying to figure out what it is.
Right.
And if the Doctor explains it to her, so be it. Got some more chats coming out over here. Dan Hollyfield says, between Pertwee and Captain Jack. Plus, you could really actually do that now. That's true.
Yeah, they can on Big Finish, definitely. Yeah.
They can do that on Big Finish now. Everything's available on Big Finish at this moment. I would have wanted Linda from Bad Wolf. I remember her. Yeah, that would have been my alternate. Because I felt so bad for her. And she almost seemed like she was going to be the Rose replacement. She was like the other girl. The way that Rose just stared at her is Linda with a Y from Satellite 5.
I almost picked her too, but at the same, I didn't want to pick characters, who had met an unfortunate end, to try to go right around that. So
yeah.
I've always thought, could there have been a chance?
She was adorable, though. I liked Linda with a Y.
Yeah. Do you always think that there's that chance that the Doctor might have at the last minute pulled it off?
We've seen what happens when they start doing that stuff.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking into the universe.
It's not like it stopped the Doctor before, but it's happened. And but no regrets for 12 when it came to Clara. So why not do it again? And Mark Robinson, thank you. Across from the pond from you guys, you got to thank you for joining us tonight there, Mark. I think, are you in the UK, Mark? Because it's going to be late for you out there. And then Sean Pertwee playing his dad. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Okay, so he's on the audio. He wants Sean Pertwee to play 3. That would be awesome out there. So that would be fun out there. Well, speaking of fun, folks, as all things come to an end, we want to thank you for joining us. We are going to be staying a little bit longer for another, I would say 20 to 30 minutes for our friends over on the Wizard World channel. We're going to be talking about our upcoming appearance. Oh, wow. Yes, it's the UK. It's 11:58. Almost midnight. Yeah, we actually. It's funny, Mark, that you mentioned that because we have celebrities coming from the UK, and I feel so bad because of our set time. They're having to come in at 11 p.m. and stay until midnight, and in some cases a little bit longer. And some of them actually stay because they're having a good time. And like, you know what? I was going to bail. Nope, we're going to stay. So, Mark, thank you for joining us. Again, we're going to be staying for just about a half hour longer. At this moment, we're going to go ahead and stop the audio portion. We want to thank everybody for being with us here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And if I could just share this with you. For those of you who are planning on leaving, let me share this. This is our YouTube channel. And we are now up to, 1,290 subscribers. And want to thank you all for joining in. Here's the live stream, as you can see it. And you can have exclusive content that you won't get anywhere else, including the Who Knew News, which I think we're going to be doing one tomorrow. It's basically our take on the Doctor Who news. As it drops out there, we will be bringing it to you and talking to you about it. Bits of the TARDIS are just bite-sized chunks of our larger episodes. If you're interested in an episode, but not necessarily want to just check it out in full, you can check out Bits of the TARDIS out there. And our friend Simon Fisher Becker, which his episode is premiering this Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time, who played Dorian Moldavar. the companion. There's another companion who could have been out there in the Whoniverse. We know that he's actually done things with 11 because he had to pay back that debt. So I don't know if he's
part
actually
of him was.
So
Yeah.
he traveled
in a box.
Could you imagine 13 just all of a sudden just open a box up and she starts talking to him? She's going like, I needed you. I don't have any Wi-Fi anymore. What did you do to me?
It's all
so-
right. All right.
Exactly.
Dorian was River's companion.
Exactly. But that's true. But
The
Simon,
doctor just got his head in the divorce. No, I'm kidding. That was my joke. Sorry.
I was about to say something and I stopped it. It's not the only time that. Never mind. Simon has been kind enough. He's working right now, but he's been kind enough to do. I think at this point he's doing either weekly or bi-weekly segments where he's just giving his take and his opinion on the Whoniverse and sci-fi itself. And we want to thank him for all he does for us. So you can check it out. And the only place you're going to get that is on the official YouTube channel out there. Oh, Melanie, shut up. Melanie makes it look so easy. Hey, Christian? Yeah, she makes life easier around it out there. Faith says, I once thought Craig Owens would be a cool companion, but he fit as a temp companion just on Earth.
The Lodger.
A Lodger, yeah. I think I don't know if he should have left. I don't know where you would take him. I don't know what he would have do with him. Queen Elizabeth I.
My backup. I had a backup of Madame de Pompadour.
Yeah.
Madame de Pompadour. Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, everybody wanted that, but she needed to have that ending. Otherwise, it would have killed.
I
that
know it was so
story.
impactful. It was beautiful.
And if you get a chance, there was the lockdown episodes, the Doctor Who lockdown episodes. Go find Pompadour. If you can find that. If you find that episode, you first of all, if you've seen The Girl in the Fireplace and then watch Pompadour, it'll tear you to shreds emotionally. Oh my God, it was just like the most devastating thing out there. We're going to wrap this up. Faith, here's a question. Do you consider River Song as a companion? The answer usually seems to be split with that. Yeah, she's a companion.
No.
No,
She's a
why
wife.
not? She's a wife?
I think that's different because I wouldn't consider Susan a companion. I consider Susan the granddaughter. And I consider River because she's a time traveler of her own.
I think
so.
she's
Like,
I think that's a
I
technical.
don't.
Well, then I can also, then in that case, I could bring up Captain Jack because he's a time traveler as well and has been in the TARDIS. He's not part of the family.
I don't think he's been a companion. You know, like he pops up.
Thank you, Mark.
He's one of those other like on the line peeps.
Now I'm going to wrap it up. I'll wrap up with this one before we go into the after party. But this one was one that everybody, including Brian and I, when we were talking earlier, that would have been a name that would have popped up easily. And there you go.
Sally Sparrow.
Yeah, definitely.
And the hardest part about this is that she rarely even meets the Doctor until the very end.
Yeah.
So the whole interaction is not even between the two of them. It's everything that's being affected by Sally. And the only time that they really interact is between this VCR tape and this script. So do you think Sally might have worked out with 10 or even a future Doctor?
I think so.
A couple of adventures, I would think.
Yeah, she had the cleverness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
everybody
she had to
wanted
take care
Sally
of,
Sparrow.
she had to take care of her boyfriend. I mean, he could not be left
That's true.
for even the weekend. So it would have to be like a quick trip and then right back 5 minutes before I left.
Gotcha, Danny. Oh, Faith is making suggestions. Sally with 11.
I think that one would be fun.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we've come to the end of our show there. And folks, for those of you who have joined us on the audio, thank you for listening to us. Please subscribe wherever you're listening to your favorite podcasts, including iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. For those of you who are continuing to watch the live feed, continue to stay. We just got a few announcements before we go. Again, thank you, and thank you to all of our friends here from the Rising Tide Network. Please go ahead to the Facebook page and subscribe and check them out. And thank you again all for being part of the legend. Please stay safe out there. We got a convention announcement coming up in just one moment. So again, thank you, and please stay safe and become part of the legend. Yeah. So for those of you just staying, thank you for continuing to join us. If you have any questions, concerning, if you had any suggestions that you didn't bring up during the show, by all means, bring them up out here. Mark does continue. He says, Jenny, the doctor's daughter, and the real doctor daughter. And the fifth daughter would be hilarious out there. Yeah, we're at the after party, Faith. So
someone, I don't know who it was, brought up Astrid from the Titanic episode.
Yeah, Astrid Peth, yeah.
What do you think about Astrid? Do you think he would have saved her? Do you think he would have had, like, you know how that scene with River Song where she's jumping off the building and the TARDIS is right there?
100%. He could have.
He could have just at the last moment just put the TARDIS right under her and just picked her up. That would have been cool.
Yeah, because she made the sacrifice.
True.
But she didn't have to die at that particular point. So he could have materialized underneath her and saved her. For some reason, did not do so. Maybe there was some historical reason that we don't know about, but she would have been good for a couple episodes at least, if not a whole season.
Possibly, Dan. I probably have. I possibly have. Well, just for those of you who are just joining us, I'm sorry, who are still with us, I should say, let me bring this up. We do have an announcement, and let me bring this up over here. For those of you who are in the Tampa area, where the heck is it? Oh, there it is. Thank you. We are going to be at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. And this will be taking place July 30th, Friday, up until August 1st, that Sunday. We'll be hosting 3 different panels on 3 different days. I'll be putting out those panels on the Traveling TARDIS as we get closer on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. But that's it located at the Tampa Convention Center on 333 South Franklin Street, or you can just follow the signs to the Convention Center. Here are going to be some of the guests over there, including Daniel Logan from Star Wars, the young Boba Fett, Joey Fatone. We also have Kevin Sorbo from Hercules, and Bruce Sleitner, and a couple of other people coming up, as well as comic book creators, artists, guest authors, and, well, unfortunately, a few cancellations. But we're going to be at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. You can just get your tickets over at Tampa Bay Comic Convention. It's online. I'm really excited about this, that we are now returning to the conventions. I think this is kind of our second convention. It's actually the third convention for the Traveling TARDIS, because Jessica was kind enough to go to VillaCon, which she had a great time out there.
It was a blast.
How did you feel about that? Did you feel safe at what you were doing? I would assume Lewis would take care of everything.
Oh, it was an absolute blast. Like it was smaller, and it was not done like any convention I've ever been to, but in a refreshing way. It was an absolute blast. Most of like the booth peeps, I don't know what to call it, people who were having booths. Like it was just
vendors. But go ahead, we'll call them booths. We'll run with that. Booth peeps. Yeah, go
booth
for
peeps.
it. Cool.
That's the new term. Yeah, I love it. Coining that one. But everyone, it just felt like a big like family. Like I know conventions always feel like a family, but I think part of it is like that post-pandemic of like, yay, we're getting back into the swing of things. And then it was just also like, it was very small, it was intimate, but there were tons of people. I know at 2:00 they hit capacity and had to actually shut down the vendor hall for 2 hours because they hit capacity. So it was, but it didn't feel overwhelming or anything like that. It was very cosplay oriented, but it was fun. It was just a good, like, breath of fresh air, fun convention. I really liked it.
I got a little bit of a confession to make, because the year that they kind of started opening not the year, but the month that they started kind of started opening. I think it was a Spooky Empire, and I went over there to Faith and Melanie have started a hashtag Booth Peeps, so I went to Spooky Empire. I forgot what day that was, but I know it was when they were slowly starting to open up the conventions, and I didn't get a ticket. I was very confessing about that to the people at Spooky Empire, and I came over here just to walk into the building. I came over here to see what it was like. I wanted to see what kind of changes you did, and I was like, I'm not going to get a ticket, but I do want to just look and see what's going on. And I was just like standing there. You know how people go to theme parks, and I know some people, including myself, that like people watch. They'll just sit down and enjoy what's going on around them, and they'll just take it easy and watch other people as they're having a great time. And I was people watching that day because I think I was just in the moment that I was just happy that we were getting back to the new normal. It was Spooky Empire, and they were trying. They had their masks on at the time. They had sanitizers all over the place, and people are trying their best to social distance. Oh, Steven the Skipper, he's going to be there all 3 days. So will I. I can't miss out on all of our panels out there. Faith, kind of honest to be nervous about MegaCon. I understand the nervousness, especially now that we have that Delta strand that's coming in the area. I'm going to say, do what you feel right. I don't want to tell people to go, and then they're just going to go ahead, Jessica. I'm sorry.
So I was just informed today that CDC has released a new announcement in regards to mask wearing, and they're now recommending that anyone vaccinated wear masks indoors, and that apparently Florida is in a state of like alert in regards to COVID right now. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend using caution, not necessarily staying away, especially if you are vaccinated. But just for those that possibly can't get vaccinated, anyone pregnant, anyone with autoimmune disease, because that's the other thing is a lot of times we like to focus on the people who are choosing not to get vaccinated, but not necessarily at the people who don't have a choice to get vaccinated.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can't hold that against anybody.
You can't hold. It's not there, and I hate that some people feel that they can't have the freedom to go out because of irresponsible people. And I want to protect our convention goers, and that's the whole thing with conventions is we try to include nerd culture. We include and accept all, or we should. And I feel like that's our responsibility as nerds is, who cares what the mainstream's doing? We protect our people.
Right. And when we're going out there, and Jessica can attest, she saw the bin that I gave her. It was like sanitizer, mask, gloves. She had everything. She could have cosplayed, sanitizer girl out there. She had everything that she wanted. So we're trying to take care of the people who come up to our booth and come and visit, but we want to protect everybody who works at our booth and volunteers to help us out there. It's very important to us. And the only thing I can think of, and I hate to say it in this light because I don't want somebody to buy their ticket and just feel like, because I can understand that people with this pandemic, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of anxiety just going into the door, just to walk the first 10 feet because you don't know. And I would just say,
I think it's called reacclimation anxiety, and it's an actual thing that they've coined. So it's the people who have not had the chance or choice to be able to leave. And once you step foot into the environment of public, especially MegaCon, which is massive.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of anxiety that goes along with it.
Some people feel like they're doing something wrong, in air quotes. And so they feel like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And I had a friend who had posted on Facebook that she was like 98% feral now. She wasn't sure if she could go back into society. And I said, why do you want to anyway?
Well, I think it's only natural for people. Yeah, it's only natural for people, and that's the other thing. We always, and I've mentioned this on the show several times. We always talk about what COVID does on the outside of the house, We don't talk about what COVID does on the inside. It has increased anxiety. It has increased depression. It has increased drug intake. I mean, it has increased a lot. In some cases, in the 1,000% of things that we don't normally think about. I hate to say this, domestic abuse, things like that go around. People cannot be locked down. However, once they get into that building, and I did this for the first time at another convention. It was a relatively small one. It filled up like a house. It was as big as a house. It was just basically one convention room, and that was it. And I just wanted to see what they were doing, if I felt safe. I kind of felt safe for a while, but then they started taking off the masks. And I said, I don't think we're ready for that as of yet. But that was months ago. Would I, we will be taking all the precautions that Tampa Bay Comic-Con is going to put on us. I know when you guys, Amy, you, Carl, when you guys go out to conventions, you're following the rules big time. I know Brian and all that, but you do have that temptation. You want to give that person a hug. You haven't seen them in forever, or maybe not this is your first time seeing them. So do you feel a little bit awkward about giving like a sign of affection when it happens?
I may have given 2 or 3 hugs at our book conference, but I'm not a big hugger for just hug everybody. So, I'm a little different. It didn't change a lot for me because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not an extrovert. Just leave me alone in the house. And I'm fine. Give me internet and go.
Give him a cigar.
Give that man a cigar. That's exactly how I am too. And I am unfortunately one of those people that is immunocompromised. So I am vaccinated, but at the same time, I'm very aware that it could be very circumstantial. So even when when my family recently said, you can't stay in the house all the time and blah 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 blah, you need to get out and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but there's just that one chance that because I had such a horrific reaction to the vaccine that nobody else that I know had, that it makes me twice as nervous about actually possibly contracting the real thing with this Delta variant going around. It's just, I can totally understand where Faith's coming from. I'm nervous too.
It is kind of nervous because, as Carl said, even with the freedom that you want, you feel like you're still doing the wrong thing. You're like, am I supposed to be out here? Am I supposed to be in this room? Do I need to take a shower or throw some hand sanitizer on me? What do I need to do? Do I need to wipe things down? Yeah. And you become hyper aware. Hyper aware of things that I think maybe at some point you become too hyper aware that you're just like, oh, I'm not going to take a step further because somebody just walked up and I don't know.
I think the main thing is just do your due diligence.
Yes.
Like wear your mask, have an extra mask because everyone drops their mask. And it happens to everyone, but always have like a spare extra one. But like your hand sanitizer, that, and if you feels more comfortable, have your own little Lysol spray. If someone decides to hug you that you weren't expecting to be hugged by, But if you are mentally prepared, have your little emergency kit. And other than that, just do what you are doing responsibly. I think that's where a lot of the faltering is we feel the people who have been responsible feel like we have to carry the weight of responsibility for those who aren't necessarily being as responsible as others. But in all honesty, we can't shoulder that anymore. It's been a year of a lot of people shouldering that, and it's getting to the point where you have to just do your own due diligence, protect yourself. If you feel unsafe in a situation, remove yourself. If someone judges you for that, you shouldn't be around that person to begin with because, at least that's my opinion. I want to take care of my people and the people I care about and even people I've never met. I care about you. I want you to protect yourself. If you don't feel safe around me, please walk away. I will not judge you. And if I did, I shouldn't be someone you associate with anyway. That's my opinion, though. Sorry, that was a rant. I'm really protective over my people.
You brought up a good point. Just because certain people do get a vaccination, that does not mean that we will reach a herd immunity, which is what we need. And you cannot go get 2 vaccinations to make up for somebody else who didn't. So, you can only do what you can do. you can only control yourself in this life, and so just do what you can. Like when Amy and I had met each other, I gave her a hug. It's kind of like one of these. How you doing? Don't touch your hands to her back.
Is that a hug?
Capaldi hug.
Kung Fu mood.
Yeah, it was a Capaldi hug. I gave her a Capaldi hug.
I usually just I'll do like this, so I'm not actually hugging somebody. I'm just like, here's a virtual hug.
Please don't do the elbow. This is where you sneeze into. I've seen so many people, they're like, I'm going to elbow bump. And I'm like, this is where people sneeze. Like, that's the worst thing you can touch to someone else's. Please don't do that.
It's Mark Robinson, our friend over in the UK, says that the UK has relaxed the rules even when the Delta strain was increasing, but cons are returning with strict rules, but now making the risk between double vaccination and people you are not. It is a very, very, oh God, the doctors are here. At least the 12th doctor has shown up out there.
Yeah.
If anybody's familiar with our show, we usually have an occasional meetup with the doctors, and I do mean all 13 of them plus. So, Melanie says, don't ask me for any hugs. You won't get any. We should be respectful if somebody doesn't want to do anything, and it probably wouldn't even hurt. I'm thinking, I see Faith in my head right now, having that Inspector Gadget. She hits a button, and then the sanitizer thing comes out, just like Mackenzie when she took her little yellow tub and threw it away. It's got this little hand sanitizer just pops out. So I mean, if you're going to do it. And I would say there's some rules that I've usually told people, like in theme parks. And speak for me, Jessica, on this one. There's a hidden rule that I've always followed: be polite, go to your right. Which means if you're going to go like head to head, go that way, just like you would do normally in driving traffic. Be polite, go to your right. In other words, avoid the collision, and see if you can get out of it, because there are people who, and I'm not trying to speak for others, but I've gone to conventions recently where people are just, they don't care. And you have to be mindful there's other people, and you don't want to scare the living daylights out of them. You want to give them their space, unless you're wearing full clothes.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's two for me,
especially
Melanie. If it's fives or Rex. That's a double. I'll definitely hug you. No, I'm kidding.
So
one thing I did see on some of the booths was signage for the people of just basically, I wear a mask if you would respect wearing a mask when you approach my booth. Some of the artists did that. Yeah. And the amount of people I saw walking around conventions without a mask, but as soon as they wanted to approach a booth with that, they would don a mask. And there was such a respect in VillaCon that I went to, that I saw, where they would absolutely, like, they were like, we're fully vaccinated, but yeah, absolutely, you feel more comfortable, let me do this for you. And I would like to believe that a lot of the nerd and fandom community can come together with that, of just respect the booths. Maybe you're fully vaccinated, that, but if it makes the person you're about to buy artwork feel more comfortable, do it, because we want these conventions to continue. We want these vendors to come back. So
do it, but do it smartly. Take into consideration
respect
other people.
Your fellow nerd.
Oh, great! I just gave Faith a new cosplay idea that I could have done.
The Inspector Gadget.
A crossplay.
She doesn't need any more cosplays to. She changes halfway through her day. She doesn't need a new cosplay to do.
She's got a closet full of stuff out there. Yes,
Melanie. Yep. Wolf, Cody, yeah. All the clones.
Good night. And I do miss hugs. Yeah, that's just the hardest part, because can you give that person a hug? You haven't seen them in forever. You're assuming that they've taken their double vax. Is it still worth the hug?
Just ask.
This is absolutely true, and I have too many cosplays. No more. Faith, no more. They made a band after you. So, I want to thank everybody for joining us here at the Legend of Traveling TARDIS. We're going to be cutting out early there. Again, don't forget, we're going to be at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. Tampa Bay, what was it?
Mega?
No. I'm sorry.
I was like, I didn't know if you were listening.
No, Tampa Bay Comic Convention. I was trying to make sure I got the website right. But yeah, we will be playing it safe as far as things. If you want to hug, I'm going to say this: if you want to hug from me, I'll meet you after. I don't know about during the con, but afterwards we can arrange something, or have dinner or whatnot there. But definitely we're gonna, and Melanie will be out there with her booth at Tampa Bay. No, Melanie, I was looking for the website. I know what it was. I just didn't know what the website was. So check it out. We'll be there. We've got 3 panels, 1 on each day. And we will be putting up the schedule later on during this week before the actual convention out there. And anybody have any last words before we wrap up for tonight?
Well, whenever I go to cons, I always have a shoulder bag, with me. A lot of people's like, what's that for? I said, well, that's why I keep, extra pen, extra paper, things like that. And in this case, when I'm going to Chicago TARDIS this year, it's also going to have some extra sanitizing wipes, some hand sanitizer. And if it makes people feel better, even though I've been vaccinated and all that, I'm going to carry some masks with me and stuff like that. Just common sense thing. Make yourself a little shoulder pack or something to carry with you. That way you've got that stuff, boom, right there at your fingertips. And, in case you do want to use it, then there you go. You're set.
Melanie, do me a favor. Put your link on the chat, and I'll share it out to the rest out there for your commissions. Mark Robinson, we'll take this as the final question. Question: if turn right in the UK, would you crash on an incoming traffic?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, we're here in the States, so that's what I mean out there. And if you want to get for commissions on the Instagram at Pieces of Melee, and the Instagram PIECES of MELEE at. Please check out Melanie if you want to get commissions, and she will have a booth. And the weird part about this is I'm not going to say much. I have the potential of a booth. That's what I've been told. That I know that's a weird statement to make, but I will be. We should have a booth. It hasn't been confirmed, and it won't be confirmed until I get there on Friday, which is they've been nice enough to give us a section, but it's still under question whether I'm going to get it.
Yeah, we got this janitor's closet. Just don't put your foot in the mop bucket
area. Yeah. I'll tell you what, yes, I do have an area. We'll see what I do with that area. Yeah, and it has couches too. So you can slum with me over at the couches. Again, thank you, folks. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Jessica. And thank you, Brian. Don't forget to check out the Rising Tide broadcast over on their Facebook page. Don't forget to check out Dr. Freedom on his YouTube channel. And don't forget, Amy, what is it? Amy is Hale. What?
Author Amy Hale.
No. What? Creative as Hale.
Creative as Hale.
Yeah, the YouTube channel. I was just like, Amy Hale. And don't forget Jessica over at Song Swan Cosplay on the Instagram while you're checking out Melanie's there. Thank you, Melanie, out there. And she's laughing. She's going to give me hell after the show.
She's got notes. She has a sheet of notes like this long. It's going to be longer than a Costco receipt.
Don't encourage
like you did this, you did this, you did.
CVS receipt, like that's
Did you ever see that one YouTube video where they do a CVS receipt and they play the Star Wars intro, and the receipt keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah.
Oh, Melanie got a laugh out
one there. Oh, Melanie's gonna get me. Anyway, speaking of which, don't forget exclusive TARDIS discount code over at Wizard World, wizardworld.com. Go to the vault. You get 25% off. I actually tested it.
They've got cool stuff.
TARDIS 25. Yes. Doctor Who, you got to check it out. It's a lot more to explain on this page. Again, thank you all for joining us tonight, and please stay safe whatever you do. We'll see you this weekend if you're in the Tampa area. And, just be part of the legend. Have a great night, folks.